With a huge talent and big ambitions, that's how Cristiano Ronaldo started his career, similar to many other players. But talent alone is never enough. It must be accompanied by several other key factors: hard work, strong will, self-confidence, and a strong personality. This is the story of Cristiano's beginnings and how he got to the pinnacle of football. In the islands of Madeira, and in particular the capital Funchal, Cristiano took his first steps towards a footballing career. He focused very early on football, instead of studying at school. And because of his family's relatively poor background, his mother agreed on his decision to focus on his dreams, which reflects to some extent their economic situation at that time. Cristiano played for his local amateur club Andorinha from 1992 to 1995, as his father was working as a kitman at the club. News about a young Cristiano got to the youth coach of Nacional, who was incidentally Fernando Sousa, Ronaldo's godfather. Fernando played a big role in Cristiano's early career decisions, especially with the absence of his father Dennis in many occasions as he drank away his sorrows. And despite the attempts of the biggest club in Madeira, Martimeu, in bringing Ronaldo, Nacional appealed more for Cristiano, as they eventually completed the deal. 2 sets of kits and 20 footballs was the sealer to get Cristiano, who was only 10 years old. At Nacional, Cristiano had his first taste of a real football academy, and the coaches at Nacional were worried because of Cristiano's undernourishment that may slow down his development, and asked his mother to supply his diet with plenty of fish and meat. But in all cases, the talent was there, and whereas a typical kid at his age would train for 2 hours a day, Cristiano used to train with the ball between 10 to 12 hours daily because he had no school, homework, and no house chores to worry about. And within a couple of years, Cristiano became too big for the island. His next step was a matter of time. Cristiano's godfather played a big role again, as he mentioned Ronaldo's name to João de Freitas, who was the president of the Sporting fan club in Madeira. De Freitas had good connections with Sporting Lisbon personnel, mainly Aurelio Pereira, who was the lead scout. He was responsible for bringing talents like Futre, Figo, Quaresma, Nani, and Moutinho to Sporting. At that time, the process of scouting was very simple and based on intuition. That's why Pereira gave Cristiano the chance to trial for a week at Sporting's academy. Nacional had a debt to settle with Sporting Lisbon related to an old transfer, which amounted to 25,000 euros, and they were struggling to pay it. So they thought of offering Cristiano in an attempt to cover this debt. Obviously, the price was pretty high to bring in a 12-year-old academy player, but Pereira managed to convince the board, as Cristiano flew out of Madeira for the first time in his life and landed in Lisbon alone. What caught the Sporting coaches' eyes, and in particular Aurelio, was Cristiano's personality. There was no doubt about the talent, but the coaches thought his personality attributes were eye-opening. After the trial, Aurelio agreed on Cristiano's permanent stay in the summer of '97, as he officially became part of Sporting's academy. Cristiano faced huge difficulties in Sporting's academy. The accent in the capital was very different than in Madeira, and there was no age group that fits Cristiano's age, so he had to join an age group older than him by 2 whole years. And he basically lived far away from his family for a long period. It was easy for Cristiano to give in and go back to Madeira, and he was close to doing just that, especially in the beginning of his period, but he stayed in the capital Lisbon to achieve his dreams. And despite his huge focus in training and his competitive spirit, Cristiano faced many issues off the field, and especially in his academic studies, which were mandatory for each academy player. And Cristiano faced another issue, as it was discovered that he had a racing heart and had to go under the knife and do surgery in the year 2000. He took some time off and came back to training 3 months later. At Sporting, the coaches tried to make Cristiano understand that the ball was not his. He had to transform from an individual to a team player. And as time had passed, Cristiano developed a lot, as Sporting rewarded him with his first professional contract in April of 2001, and with the help of the most famous Portuguese agent at that time, José Veiga. The contract was for 4 years and with a monthly salary of €2,000. Ronaldo, at 16 years of age, had a release clause that amounted to a hefty €20 million. In the beginning of the 2001-2002 season, Cristiano was financially capable of getting his mother to move to Lisbon, and as his family was closer, Cristiano managed to get ever so close to first-team football at Sporting, as he was called up to train with the first team by the Romanian manager Laszlo Bologna. After several training sessions, Bologna wrote up a report on Ronaldo. The negatives: weak aerial ability, uses weak technique, defensively weak, physically weak, doesn't have tactical awareness as an individual nor as a team player, very selfish, and lacks composure and focus. But after months and months of training, Cristiano managed to settle in with the first team in the training sessions, but Bologna still thought it was not the right time for him to play in official matches, as Cristiano was still showing off some tricks that had no place in actual matches, let alone in training sessions, and Bologna even threatened not to call up Ronaldo if he didn't stop. Sporting successfully won the league, the cup, and the Super Cup that season, as the manager Bologna successfully managed to integrate youngsters like Quaresma and Viana within the starting lineup, but Ronaldo was still waiting for his chance. As the season had closed its curtains, a Portuguese agent called Jorge Mendes entered into the fray. Mendes planned to pick up 3 Sporting Academy players, whom were Quaresma, Viana, and Ronaldo, all of whom were represented by José Veiga. Mendes sat with these players and promised them that he'll find big clubs that are interested in their talents, and that will help them earn no less than €1 million in a flash. And after Mendes successfully got Cristiano on board, he sat down with him and his mother to convince her of his ambitions. So in September of 2002, Cristiano terminated his contract with Veiga, and thus Mendes was now his agent. In the following season, Sporting's main striker Mario Jardel had intentions of leaving in the following season, so Bologna had to find another attacker either down the middle or on the wings. Director of football Carlos Freitas informed the manager that there was no budget to acquire a new player, and thus proposed to him to use Cristiano. Bologna agreed with that suggestion, as the Romanian manager believed that the teenager improved immensely in the last couple of years. In the academy, Cristiano played either as a central striker or a second striker, but Bologna decided to use him as a tricky winger, and before the season had started, Bologna hyped up the press. This young man will be better than Eusebio and Figo. The teenager managed to score his first goal as a professional in a friendly against Real Betis, as the graphics wrote the young man's name on the screen, Custodio Ronaldo. Then he made his professional debut against Inter Milan in the Champions League qualifiers, which Sporting ended up losing. He scored his first official goal in the league against Moreirense in October, and entered in the dying minutes against Boavista and managed to score the winning goal.
Gol de Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo.
A very promising start, but Cristiano Ronaldo didn't start matches consistently, which was normal for a teenager only 17 years of age. But actually it was enough to attract the attention of several European clubs, and Sporting hadn't won a single title that season, so the manager Bologna was fired. At the end of the season, Mendes warned Sporting that if Cristiano was not a starter next year, there was a big chance he would leave for another club. And Jorge Mendes was very active that year, as he lined up several offers for Cristiano. And the Portuguese teenager said after the Toulon tournament that he was pleased to receive the attention of many important clubs, and he dreams of playing in Spain or England. Now let's look at who were the real candidates to sign Cristiano in the summer of 2003. First were Valencia. Paco Rog, one of the presidential candidates prior to the elections, had agreed with Mendes to sign both Cristiano and Quaresma if he won the presidency, €9 million for both of them. Liverpool and their manager Gerard Houllier were interested in the player, as they offered €8 million, as Cristiano reacted to the offer and said, "One of the best clubs in Europe. It would be a dream to play for a club that represents so much tradition. Luis Suarez, Inter legend and Morati's consultant at that time, was interested in Ronaldo, as he saw him in action in the previous season and said to Morati, "We have to sign him. He'll be one of the best players in the world." Morati was not convinced, especially when he knew that Cristiano was only a 16-year-old kid, as Inter were one of the biggest spenders in the Mercato in that period, but didn't make an official offer. Juventus stepped up their efforts to sign the young Portuguese, but their Chilean striker Marcelo Salas refused to go to Sporting in a trade deal. Italian darlings Parma offered 8 million euros for the player. The head of Real Madrid's academy, Ramon Martinez, met with Sporting to inquire about Ronaldo. Barcelona was interested in Jorge Mendes's clients, whom were Quaresma, Thiago, Deco, and Ronaldo, but they pushed to sign Quaresma and offered a preferential contract for Cristiano, but eventually it amounted to nothing. The club that made the most advanced talks with Cristiano was the Gunners. As Jorge Mendes said recently, "There was a time when I really thought he was going to Arsenal." Before the summer, particularly in January of 2003, Cristiano and his mother flew to London to visit Arsenal's training facility and sat with both Arsene Wenger and his football idol Thierry Henry. In Ronaldo's biography, the author Guillaume Balaguer mentioned that Cristiano fell in love with the club and what they offered in terms of footballing philosophy and the care in which young players are treated. Arsenal agreed on all terms with Sporting, and there was a concrete agreement between both clubs. Arsene Wenger even kept the number 9 shirt for Cristiano. But when Vice President David Dein went to Lisbon to seal the deal, he offered an initial offer that was too low for Sporting. Arsenal had some financial restrictions, of course, with the construction of the new Emirates Stadium. But there was another English club who succeeded in the negotiations. Everybody seems to think that Cristiano transferred to Manchester United because of his performance against the Red Devils in a friendly match on August of 2003. But there was a lot of planning from United prior to that. In the 2002-2003 season, Ferguson's assistant at that time, the Portuguese Carlos Queiroz, received some reports on Cristiano, and he instantly knew that the club had to act quickly. "I didn't take on any responsibilities in terms of recruiting young players, but I informed Alex about Cristiano." Management was hesitant on Cristiano, but Queiroz had a brilliant idea. Carlos Queiroz was Sporting Lisbon's manager from the year 94 to 96, and he had several good connections at the club. So he managed to agree on a special agreement with Sporting to exchange methodologies and ideas between the two clubs, which would in essence make certain deals in the future much easier. And because of this deal, Ferguson managed to send Jim Ryan, the second-team coach at United, to watch training sessions at Sporting Lisbon's facilities. "I've seen a player. I think he's a winger, but he's playing as a central striker with the youth team. I wouldn't wait long to declare our interest. There will be other clubs after him." Ferguson suggested the idea of signing Cristiano to Sporting's management, but with the condition of keeping him on loan at Lisbon for a year. It was a similar condition suggested by many other clubs. At the end of the season, and because of the special agreement between Sporting Lisbon and Manchester United, the Portuguese side suggested booking a friendly between the two sides to celebrate the opening of their new Estadio José Alvalade. The match was booked for the 6th of August 2003. A day before the friendly, Jorge Mendes met with Sir Alex for the first time. United's interest for Cristiano was obvious, and that same summer, Beckham left for Madrid, Veron left for Chelsea, and Ronaldinho turned down United's offer and went to Barcelona. So now let's see what's on the table. Sporting knew that Ronaldo and Mendes were not interested in renewing their deal with the club, despite the new manager Fernando Santos pledging to play Cristiano as a starter. Ferguson and United wanted to inject some new blood into the team, and Cristiano filled that bill. Mendes knew that sealing this deal would catapult him to the forefront of all football deals. So the deal made sense for each side, and the only thing missing was the figure. But Ferguson knew that United can outbid any other club, and Cristiano knew that the deal was agreed before the booked friendly, as he entered the match to show Manchester United what they were getting.
Twisted turn by Ronaldo.
Look at that lovely little trick that he has.
Here's Ronaldo. Ronaldo to swing one. Shea couldn't get near him. Ronaldo again. He's done it for 85 minutes.
Unbelievably quick feet. He's going to be a superstar. And tonight he has shown us exactly what he can do.
It was the first time Sir Alex got a glimpse of Cristiano live, as he talked about that night recently and said, "A revelation, the biggest surge of excitement and anticipation I experienced in football management." After the match, Ferguson realized that the deal had to be done immediately, as the director of football Freitas said that United decided to pay more than the agreed fee to ensure they got the player immediately instead of staying for a year on loan at Sporting. They ended up paying a final price of £12.2 million for a 5-year contract, as Cristiano's yearly salary went from €24,000 to €2 million. And Ferguson promised Mendes that Ronaldo would play in half of the matches next season at least. And when he got to the club, Cristiano asked for the number 28, but Ferguson gave him the responsibility of wearing the number 7 shirt at United, the legendary number worn by United legends like George Best, Steve Coppell, Brian Robson, Eric Cantona, and David Beckham. A huge transformation in Cristiano's life. So will he deliver or not? Within that period, United were 4-time league champions in the last 5 years, but Ferguson thought that the team needed a bit of youthful energy, and that's one of the factors that made Sir Alex succeed for a long time. He made changes while his teams were at the top. 4 days after Cristiano was introduced to the media, he was given his debut when he entered against Bolton on the opening day of the Premier League. The excitement in the stands was palpable. Cristiano managed to win a penalty for the team and was voted the player of the match. 4 days later, Luis Scolari gave Cristiano his national team debut with Portugal as well. Despite Cristiano's promising start, his teammates were not convinced of his playstyle on the field, and as weeks and months had passed, their convictions were being reflected on the pitch. After a few matches, defenders around the league started to give Cristiano a tough and physical treatment. The teenager's reaction was negative, as he dived and flopped around the pitch a lot. Slowly but surely, he earned a reputation that would destroy the career of any young player. He wanted to show off instead of trying to integrate with the team. The talent was there, but he had to drastically change his playstyle. Let's watch some bad and good examples from Cristiano's first season with United. A speculative shot from distance as United were losing while ignoring other options. Great pace but weak physical strength as the defender pushes him out. A great free kick with a different technique than the one he uses today. Great bit of skill to escape Chelsea's press. And in the last clip, we see a great bit of skill to escape Arsenal's pressure, but is followed by a poor pass forward.
On his backside, a very encouraging contribution there.
United had a completely different philosophy, but Ferguson treated the teenager just like he treated Cantona in the past, different from the other players. Although he was hard on him sometimes, Fergie knew that despite his lack of tactical awareness and teamwork, Cristiano had the right mindset for any professional. As Roy Keane had said, he was immediately one of the hardest working players at United. In all cases, Cristiano's first season was tough. His first goal came in November through a free kick against Portsmouth.
Cristiano Ronaldo's first goal for United.
And all the way to January, he managed to participate in 19 matches, starting in 11. But United were in a transitional period that season, as they crashed out of the round of 16 of the Champions League against Porto and Mourinho. In the league, United ended the season in 3rd position, behind an improved Chelsea side and Arsenal, who remained unbeaten throughout the season. United got all the way to the FA Cup final as they faced Millwall from the Championship. Ferguson decided to use Cristiano from the start to give him a taste of competing for a trophy. The struggles of the season were behind him, as he looked much better. It could be one of his most important matches in his career, as he was just outstanding.
Wonderful stuff from the Portuguese young international.
And scored a goal.
Back across, Ronaldo!
As United won the match handsomely by 3-0.
It's United's year for the FA Cup again.
Luis Scolari gave Cristiano some national team caps before the Euros, which were held in Portugal that summer, and Cristiano successfully joined Scolari's final squad for the summer tournament and became the 6th youngest player in the competition's history. He arrived at the training camp full of confidence, as Scolari said that he's a good kid, but someone must have told him he's the best in the world, and if he thinks he is, it will be very hard to work with him. In the group stages, Cristiano was gaining more minutes as the tournament progressed. In the opener against Greece, Cristiano entered in the second half and gave away a penalty, and then scored a goal, but Portugal eventually lost. And following an assist in the win against Russia, Cristiano started the crucial match against Spain as Portugal won and Cristiano was named man of the match. He started the quarter-final match against England as Portugal won through penalties and then assisted and scored in the win against the Netherlands in the semi-finals, and managed to be in the starting lineup in the final against Greece as Cristiano became the youngest player ever to do so in the competition's history. But the match ended just like the opener of the tournament as Greece won against all odds. Cristiano missed a huge chance and was very upset after the loss. Cristiano came back to United a different person. As the assistant Mike Phelan had mentioned, he came back a man. His body shape was different, his facial features were different as well, and we just thought that's an athletic physique for the British game. Physically, he was different, but his performances remained inconsistent, and that started to wane on his partner on the right, Gary Neville, who questioned the Portuguese's defensive duties. Do you live with him for another 12 months, where this player is doing okay, but not scoring 25 goals, where he can turn off and not do the defending? And when we watched some examples within the season, we noticed that Cristiano was still adamant on showing off his new skills and was taking several wrong decisions in most of the matches. But I noticed he slightly improved in several different things. He started passing progressively without delay. He now has a rocket of a shot.
He's gone for goal, and what a goal!
And on his weak foot as well.
And a shot, oh, the crossbar saves Bolton!
His physical endurance started to last the whole match, and he started to successfully overcome the defenders' challenges.